Hi, Kathryn here with Circle Art Designs. Today I will be working on Project 3 from the March Bargain Bead Box series. This will be the Amazonite necklace and filigree teardrop pendant that I talked about on Thursday. The earrings and bracelet that I made in the same style are already up in the shop, and by the time you see this one, it'll be up in the shop as well. All right, let's turn our eyes to the mat and get started. So as we turn our eyes down to the mat area today, you will see this beautiful Simply Grateful. If you were here on Thursday, you know that my daughter gifted me with this mat. She said I needed to change with the seasons, and I think it is stunning. So as I was thinking about what I wanted specifically to share with you that I am truly grateful for, it would be coming through the storms we had this weekend. The winds were so high that it broke off branches on our maple tree. And yet they fell in such a way that they didn't hurt our fence or the neighbor's fence or the giant box that does something for the electrical and cable company in our backyard or on our house. And everyone I know came through it relatively unscathed. So thank you, Lord. I truly am simply grateful for that. So what do you have to be simply grateful for today? So, as I stated at the beginning, this will be the matching necklace for the earrings and bracelet we made on Thursday. I am listing all these pieces as separate pieces in the shop, so you can mix and match as you like. But, looking at the pieces we received from the Bargain Bead Box, we're going to start up at the top, and we have, let me see here. Yes, we have a 5 by 3 millimeter steel cable jewelry chain. And now this is in that brass or antique copper look, but it is stainless steel. And this is from the March Bargain Bead Box. Going on down from there to the right, we have the floral toggle and clasp from the Bargain Bead Box of March. And we've used, this is the second one we've used from there, and I'm saving the third one for something special. And then again from the Bargain Bead Box, going on from there, we have a 22 gauge eye pin. And going on around the corner, let's see what we have. Oh, we have this beautiful, beautiful filigree teardrop pendant. If you got the Bargain Bead Box for that month, you have 2 of them. So I have one in reserve to make something for myself. And going up the left-hand side, you will see the 8 millimeter Amazonite round beads from the March Bargain Bead Box. And I use these in the necklace, the earrings, and the bracelet. And I still have a few left. Up from there, from my own stash, and this finishes out what we will be needing. This is your 3 millimeter brass spacer balls. And again, I said this is from my own stash. You can find these on Amazon. I've bought them from several of the different Amazon stores. They come in several different colors, and I really love to work with these to finish off the ends of my components. All right, here we go. Oh, I almost forgot. Before we get started, would you take a moment and like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already? When you subscribe and hit the little bell button, you will get a notification whenever I put anything new up. And I do put shorts up as well as these. And if you would share this and leave a comment, that would be really wonderful. Thank you so much for your help. I really, really do appreciate it. All right, now let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is loopers. These yellow ones are my larger ones. They're 2.2 1.25 millimeters. And these are the ones that I normally use. They are the 1.25 milliliters. And I choose which one I'm going to use, especially when I'm using eye pens, by the size of the hole that is the loop that's already made in the eye pen. And so today I am going to go ahead and use my larger of the loopers. I'm starting with my eye pen. I'm putting on a 3 millimeter brass spacer ball, just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and put on my 8 millimeter Amazonite, and then a 3 millimeter spacer ball. And that is all that is going to go on these components. I'm going to go ahead and make up the first side. Now, for the first side of this chain necklace, I will be using 4 of these components. So I will need a total of 8 of the components. Again, it's the spacer ball, the 8 millimeter Amazonite, and a spacer ball. And I'm putting all of them on this beautiful 22 gauge eye pen. I am so glad I got these. I didn't have any exactly this color. This is more of a brass color. I had an antique copper look, but the other I had was a bright copper. And so I was really glad to see these, and I haven't had to use all of them yet either. So I'm showing you, I'm going to do 4 more. But right now, I want to talk about the looper. Now, you know my joy in loopers. If you've watched me for any length of time, I just love them because they make making these little circles so much easier. You put them across the jaws, it goes in the hole on the other side. Now you put that bead right up against the edge of it, mash, it keeps it straight. Then you pull back slightly, it will make a question mark, and you have a beautiful little loop. Now, if it does not close all the way, that's why I had you pull your straight nose pliers out, because sometimes, and for me, most of the time, it doesn't close all the way. Oh, here you go. This time, it did not cut it, so I just take my flush cutters and I cut it off, and I'll go ahead and I will close it up with my straight nose pliers. Again, across, mash, and you got your loops. Now then, I am going to go ahead and make sure that all my loops are closed. For that, I'm going to need the straight nose pliers. Now, if you've done it correctly, you should really have a beautiful little question mark. When you close it and then you back it up a little bit, it should go right over the center of your component. And whether you're making your own loops or you're using a looper, you really want to make sure that your components are in the center. The loop is in the center of that component, because otherwise it hangs crooked. And I have seen more pieces that, especially at conventions, that where you get really, really busy and you're trying to do product, and sometimes they get past you. And then whenever you go to put them up for your convention, then you discover that you weren't as meticulous as you had hoped to be. So one of the things I always do is when people buy pieces from me, I always pull them and I make sure. Now, this is the one I had to cut, and it ended up just being too big. So I'm straightening this sucker out, and I am going to use my smaller looper for this one so that I can get up close, because it will go in that. It'll cut off a little bit of it, and I can go ahead and I can close that up, and it will go. I won't waste the eye pen. Now, if I had a whole sack of eye pens, I like to buy them in, 100, 150, 200. I would just chunk this eye pen and I would go on. But I don't, and I don't know how many more projects I'm going to use. So see, it's perfect on both sides. And what I was saying was, when you get in a hurry, then you have to take out your tools and you have to make sure that it's straight and everything is closed. And I like to do that anyway when you buy pieces from me, because you never know when my brain is going to have a brain lapse and I'm just going to go, oh, I did that, and put it to one side. Do you ever have brain lapses? I have brain lapses all the time, and I have found that since my kids have gone away and I am on my own, left up to my own devices, I have more brain lapses than normal. All right, so there they are. They are ready to go. And now we're ready to go on to the next step. I'm going to go ahead and get all these done. And through the magic of the video, there they are, all finished. Isn't that cool? So one of the things I would say, if you are buying and wearing handmade jewelry, even though the designer is being very, very careful, you want to make sure every time you take your piece off that you check your jump rings and you check anything that has a closed loop that isn't a wrapped loop. Because with wear and tear and pull and swing, they can come loose, and there's just nothing the designer can do about that. So, but if you're careful and you pay attention, then your pieces will last longer and you won't lose parts of them, which always makes my heart sad whenever I lose a piece of something that I really love and realize I can't get anymore. All right, so here I am cutting little sections from that steel necklace that we got in the bargain bead box. And I am using my old cutters for this because even though, flush cutters should be really not, I have a great pair of flush cutters. So these are my old flush cutters. When you see me pull out the blue handles, those are the ones that I ate up on some stainless steel one time on the very tips trying to cut a stainless steel chain, and it never did cut that stainless steel chain. So, but I have learned how to work with them now, and anytime I have stainless steel chain, I always use this older set. And I'll tell you another thing. I decided, the memory wire cutters cut stainless steel. I'm going to use those. Well, you know what I did? I sprung it. I kid you not. I sprung it. So anyway, for the pendant itself, I forgot to get out a bail, and I am going to use a bail to hang this pendant. So I'm going to pull out two different kinds. The first one has a larger hole, and I really like it, but I think it's going to make it longer than I want. So I am going to go with this smaller bail. And so I'll put it to one side. So even though it wasn't on the picture, you are going to need a bail for this. Well, actually, you can use a jump ring if you're making one for yourself. But I like the finished look of the bail, so that's what I'm going to use. Now I've decided in what order these Amazonites are going on, because each one of them are a little different. I have opened up my jump ring between two pliers, hold one wrist stiff, twist the other wrist, and you will not spring your jump rings. So I'm putting on the chain. There you go. Isn't that cute? And then I'm putting on my component. Then again, with the twist of one wrist, I'm going to close it. Now you might notice I twist with my left hand when I'm opening. I twist with my right hand when I'm closing. I don't know why I do that. It's just the way I do it. Actually, whenever I was real little, about 4 years old, I fell with a Coke bottle, and this was when Coke bottles were really hefty. And I slit my left hand and had to have stitches and couldn't use it for quite some time. And so I learned to work with my right hand. So there are some things I can do with my left, some things I can do with my right, like I can only cut with my right hand, even though I'm left-handed. All right, twist the wrist, open it up, go ahead and put on your chain. Well, come on, Kathryn, you can do this. Put on the chain, then I'm going to put on my next component. And then I am going to twist with the wrist again. There goes the right hand. Always feel to make sure your jump rings are closed. Your fingers never lie. If you feel a rough spot, that jump ring is not closed. Again, opening the jump ring, putting on a chain, putting on my component. I've had to make sure that that was closed. Sometimes I forget to make sure that the store circle is closed, and I have gotten in trouble for that. In fact, I have a necklace coming up that I've already filmed. I just haven't edited, that I got ready to take pictures, and I thought I had been very careful, and the little piece just went bloop and fell in the floor. So I had to go back and check everything. All right. Now then I put on my chain, then I'm putting on my component, and I'm closing up that jump ring. And even though you couldn't see that I felt with my fingers as I was laying it down. Just a moment. Sorry about that. Right in the middle of it, I started to cough. All right. Again, I am opening up my jump ring, I'm putting on my chain and then closing. And you might have noticed I am using oval jump rings, and that is because, first of all, I just like them better. The slit for them is on the side. They're less likely to pull open. I'm using the little 4mm ovals that I came in a whole set, and I got those off of Amazon. But the other thing about it is if I'm using a necklace that has round links, I use round jump rings. If they have an oval type look to them, which this does, then I use my oval jump rings. And my go-to is always oval jump rings. But I want to be consistent in my look. And that's one of the things you want to do, is you want to be consistent in your look. Now you might notice this doesn't look very big. I'm showing you that I am going to go do the other side before we get ready to put on our pendant. So I'm going to put the beads in the exact same order that I did here. I got like beads for both sides and lined them up ahead of time. Opening the oval jump ring, putting on my, and then I will put on it onto this other side. Now, the jump ring that, the chain that I am using is a slightly bigger chain. It has 7 links in it instead of the 4. And what you're seeing here, I'm making sure that my jump ring, that my bell is going to fit on those 7 links, because I want it to be trapped between the 2 beads. So I'm going to go ahead and put on the jump ring on that 7 link. Say that 10 times. Oh, even 3. And then once I make sure that this is closed and it's sitting right over my component, because I didn't like the way it looked, I'm going to go ahead and pick up my jump ring again because it fell off whenever I laid it down. I'm going to put that chain on the other side. Remember, there are 7 links in the center of the necklace. I didn't want them banging. I wanted the pendant to have some movement so that it wasn't banging up against that Amazonite on both sides. So once I have done that, I'm going to go ahead and put the first component of the other side on. And I just flat missed that jump ring. Alrighty, one more time. Jump ring, hold it with your chain nose pliers. Get your component on. There you go. And then close it up with a twist of the wrist. Just like that. Let's see if it really is closed. I say, nope, I can see it's not closed. Can you see it's not closed? It was so close, but it wasn't. All right. The one thing with these little 4mm jump rings, whether they're ovals or circles, is they are really hard to grip and still have space to get into the area to open or close them because they're so small. And see, I touched it and it went, nope, it's still rough. So that thing is not closed. And now people with better eyesight than I have can probably tell, but I really have to use my fingers. Even with magnifying glass, I have to make sure that it feels closed. So this is what the middle of your necklace will look like. Everything else has 4, and here's the finished product. Sorry about that. Everything else has 4. But the middle has 7. Now, I kept looking at this and I kept thinking, what is wrong with this? And I will tell you, I got this necklace almost finished before I realized that on the side I did off camera. Look at that bead going from the bell. The last one right there, you can see, I forgot to put the chain on. I wondered why I had an extra chain. I went, I can't believe that. I have to tell you, I did eventually figure out I needed to fix it because there was something really wrong with that side. I went, okay, it has the same number of beads, the same size beads. The components are all the same size. The chains are all the same size, but this thing is whopper gaggled. What is wrong with this thing? And there it is. Now that I finally found it because I wasn't looking for it, I can say, oh, that's what's wrong. But I had this necklace almost completely finished before I realized what was wrong with this necklace. I went, well, maybe the beads were just off because they are each one drilled, or maybe I didn't get the component as close as I should. But I guarantee whenever there is something as off as this one was, and if you find this in your own beading, you have probably left out something somewhere. Because you see that? There's a hole. And I just went, what have I done wrong? What is going on? And I didn't catch it. And right there. And that's where I caught it. I went, well, I'm going to leave this in because people need to know that everybody makes mistakes. But you know what? If you have watched me for any length of time, you know I make mistakes. That's why I'm always checking and rechecking and double checking. And there's that extra piece I had that I could not figure out why this was not working. Now I'm going to go ahead and open up another of the little 4mm ovals. I think these are probably 5 by 3, but in the little package it said 4, but they're ovals, so you know that they're something by something. And then I'm going to put it on just like that and close it up. And now it should work. Why, look at that. They all line up. Yay! Okay, let's go ahead and we'll go to the next step. I tell you what, I think that's just funnier than all get out. All right, we're going to put on our toggle and clasp, open up our little oval jump ring. We're going to put it on the end, and then we're going to put on our toggle and clasp. You got the little circle. Isn't that pretty? I just love these. I am going to make a toggle necklace. I have pieces put back to make a toggle necklace, and I can hardly wait. But I figure you're tired of seeing necklaces and earrings, and so I try to mix it up a little bit. Sometimes do just earrings, sometimes just necklaces. I really love doing bracelets because that's what I like to wear. But I try not to flood the channel with just bracelets. There you go. I have a very dear friend that I have had for many years. When I first started this, I did necklace. And she texted me one day and she said, you know, it might be nice if you put some earrings on there. Well, you know, I do not have pierced ears. And I wear earrings, but only on special occasions because I always have to take them apart and put on clips. And I thought, earrings? Why would I make earrings? But I have found such joy in doing that. All right, so we have got on our toggle. And we're going to go ahead and start for our teardrop, that filigree teardrop. Isn't that beautiful? But I want to have something from the bottom. So the first thing I did was the exact same thing that I did when I was making the chain and this component. Now this is a very good eye pin to do this with because it is strong enough to hold but soft enough that you can make it bendable. So here I'm making sure that these are closed really well, and I'm going to make a loop dangle for this. I think it will accentuate the bottom of this teardrop, and it is just gorgeous. I thought about doing two, an inner and an outer, but I went, you know what? There's already so many things going on in this necklace that I think that just the one would be perfect. So here we go. It's going to be like that. So I'm going to take it. I've measured out how much I want. Going to go ahead and cut it. Now remember, I'm adding the component at the bottom, so that's going to add a little length. So now I have to cut it in the middle, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm putting it on. I'm seeing where the middle of that chain is, and there it is. I'm going to hold that one just like that, and I'm going to cut it with my flush cutters. Oop, I dropped it. Let's try it. Nope. I got it. Yay. All right, so there it is. And so because I just eyeballed this chain, I'm one link too long on one side. So I'll go ahead and cut that as well, and I'll get it pulled off of there. And then we are ready to put on our component. So when I put on the component, the first thing I did was I'm going to open up my jump rings, and I'm going to join both chains with that component. Open it up. Go ahead and put a chain on there, just like that. And then the component. And even though I checked, make sure, I slipped. Make sure that you have got that both things closed, because this will dangle. You don't want any rough edges up against your clothes, and so it's very important that you make sure the circles in the component and the jump ring are completely closed. And so there we go. And this is going to make that loop dangle. I love these. I don't make them very often, but I think they are so pretty. So now then, I'm checking to see how I like it. Now, if I leave the component just like that, it's okay. It is squared off at the bottom because, you know, it's a straight line component. But once I get it on, I'll show you what I do. And it's very simple. So we're going to go ahead. We're making sure that everything is together. Making sure everything is together there. And I am going to go ahead and open up that jump ring just like that. Oop, I dropped the jump ring. Okay, there you go. Open it up, twist of the wrist, put on one side of the chain. And I have decided that the chain is a little longer than I want it, so I'm going to cut off a couple. So I was counting from the component. I'm going to go ahead and put this on and make sure I like it before I cut off the rings. Oop. Now then, this filigree is a little I can't think of the word, but it looks like the holes are bigger than they are. It's a little deceptive. So make sure first of all, you want it to close on the back, but make sure that when you decide which hole you're going to put the dangle on, that you have a hole on the other side close to that hole that will fit a jump ring as well. My original holes that I picked out, they look plenty big on the front, but whenever I went to put it on, they were really closed in on the back. So I went a hole up, made sure there was one on the other side, and we have that dangle. Now then, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut off my extra because I like the length on that. And I always save whatever I cut off because I can always use it in something else, because I am always making chain necklaces. I think they are just the epitome of elegant. So if you wonder, why is she always making chain necklaces? It's because I love them. And all right, we're going to go ahead and cut this one off. Just like, come on, you got this. See, that's where I chewed up on my stainless steel. That's where I chewed up these old cutters. So there we go. And that has gone off. And so now I'm going to take and make sure, first of all, that this is closed. But then I am beginning to curve this piece upward. And I am using my curved nose pliers because I want to make sure at the same time that stays closed. And so you can see the curve beginning on it just like that. Now then, I'm going to take my hands, now that I've got it started, and mash on both sides with the same amount of pressure so that I don't cause those rings to warp and come open. And I have a beautiful, beautiful little dangle coming off of this teardrop. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love that look. Now then, I'm going to go ahead and put on my teardrop dangle, filigree dangle, with another one of these lovely little oval jump rings. I have been consistent with using these throughout. And put it on, close, turn it around, Kathryn. You don't want it to be in the front. And then I'm going to close it up, and this piece will be finished. Isn't that lovely? Oh, it's not closed yet. You know what? It's amazing what you can see once you have it up on the computer. The computer is so much bigger than the screen that I have. All righty. Come on, you can do this. We're almost home. I can always tell when I get tired because my grip loosens and I'm always slipping off. And I know that is not closed. But in comes the trusty little straight nose. Then comes these again, and we're going to give it one more shot now that I've straightened it up after I threw it on the ground. Well, threw it on the mat. And just gentle rocking until you get it to close. And there you go. Isn't that lovely? Okay. Here is the finished product. Isn't that beautiful? I just love those loop dangles. It is so pretty. Now, I find that you really need something hefty in the center for that dangle to hang and swing properly, or at least I do. And so I love the look. I wish I remembered to do it more often, but isn't that lovely? Thank you so much for joining me today on this amazing beading adventure. I have had so much fun. I hope that you have too. I hope you've laughed with me. I hope it has been made lighter. And I pray that you have learned something that you can take with you today into your own amazing beading adventures. I will put pictures up on the end, but I did want to show you this kind of closer up so you could see the beauty of this pendant, and everything just matches. It's just meant to go together. Again, God bless you. God keep you safe this week until I see you later in the week, and have an amazing beading adventure of your own. This will be up in the shop when you see this video. Here are the lovely earrings we made earlier later last week. And don't you think they go well with this? And like I said, the bracelet, earrings, and necklace will all be up separate. I normally don't do that, but I thought, well, since I'm doing it as separate videos, I'll just put it in the shop separately. God bless y'all. Have a great week. Kathryn, circleartdesigns.net. Bye now.